Hello there, this is RomWills coming back at you with yet another video. A woman may always be checking you out. Now this is something that you have to really be cognizant of. And it don't matter how you dressed or whatever. You could be dressed like a bum. I remember a couple decades ago, I was moving. I was all sweaty. I was like dirty, sweaty, all this. This young lady, I never forget, this young lady that worked at this grocery store was like looking like, hey. And it's funny, the other day, I was walking out and went grocery shopping. I had my sons with me. We just went grocery shopping, and as we were walking out the store, like first one woman, she was looking. I mean, she was looking, had eye contact and everything. And then we passed these two ladies. It was a mother and her daughter, and they didn't give one of those quick smiles. They gave one of those long smiles looking at me. I was like, okay. Yeah. And I was thinking about what I had on. I had on just a regular shirt and some sweats. I wasn't dressed up. It was just like, I wasn't like trying to look all fly. I didn't have on the gator or like a fancy shirt and some slacks or something. Some slacks and some gators. I ain't have on no Stacey Adams. I was just walking out there looking plain. Look, I'm gonna tell you something now. A woman, always realize, even when you taking out the trash, you don't know who's checking you out. Like if I'm taking out the trash where I live, like I said, there's a dog park over by where I live. And I never know who I might see walking out. I'm taking out the trash. Now, if I'm just having on some sweats and any old t-shirt and some lady's like, hey, how you doing? You never know. See, here's the thing with women. Don't think for a second they ain't looking. In fact, they slicker with it than men. Because men, we get that bruh man look. We be like, women though, shoot, they'll look straight ahead. They'll walk past you, look straight ahead. But then they can, later on that evening, they can tell their girlfriends everything you had on. They look straight ahead. They ain't making eye contact with you or anything. But then they can tell you everything you had on. They can even tell you a scratch you had on the back of your shoes. That's how deep they are. In fact, I remember I was hanging out with, for those who read my book, Nice Guys and Players, hanging out with Jim. And I remember we would walk past some women and say, okay, he would give a count. He'd say 1, 2, 3. Okay, look back. And catch the women looking back. They be using mirrors and whatever. You never know when a woman is checking you out. In fact, I had mentioned that in my book, Sexual Chemistry. Like I said, you could be putting out the trash. I remember when I lived in my last apartment, putting out the trash. We had just some sweats on. There were a couple women in the neighborhood be like, hey, how you doing? You don't know. You don't know. As soon as you step out that door, whatever your door is, even though the woman might not say anything to you, she could be checking you out. In fact, that's why I said, even when you think you cold approaching a woman, it might be cold on your part. That woman might have been checking you out for a little bit. She might have clocked where you want to be, and she put herself in there, and then she acts surprised when you approached her. And then if you get with her a bit, she might tell you later on, like, oh yeah, well, yeah, I always knew you were walking that way. And I put myself in a position. In fact, if you have any women friends, just friends, they'll tell you. They'll tell you some stuff. Women are always looking. They're always checking out men. They always looking out their window. They checking out in the cars. Even when they walk past you on the street, they checking you out. Now, I don't necessarily mean they want you. Let me be clear about that. But they still checking you out. They are always looking. They are always looking. Now, if you somebody that they want, they'll accidentally like say a woman's walking down the street and you walking behind her, checking out her butt dump. He's like, damn, she got a nice walk. And she just glanced back real quick. And you ain't thinking about you because you still looking at her butt dump. She just glanced back just real quick, or she catch you in a mirror or something. All of a sudden she slow down and you go up to approach her and she act all surprised. And then 6 months later, she might be honest and say, well, yeah, I saw you there. Then, trust me, they're always looking. Keep that in mind. I would say this, when you out, always be cognizant of what you're wearing, unless you just don't give a fuck. And even then, a woman, you could be dressed like a bum. You could be dressed like a bum, and then some woman be like, well, yeah, he look like he worked hard for a living, and still checking you out. Or you could be dressed like a bum. She said, yeah, he dressed like a bum now, but I wonder what he look like when he cleans up. They might even be thinking, you know what, I'll just take him to that store. I'll get him some clothes. They always looking. Now, what you want to be is somebody they want to check out. Hence, that's why I say, fix yourself up. Body game at least. They can see your body. They checking out you don't know what on you they checking out. So you want to fix up if you conscious of, especially if you want a woman. Like you might be looking around at different women, but different women, you want to get to that point, different women looking around at you. And they checking you, trust me, they checking you out. Even if you just bad something, they still checking you out. Cousin T-Taw in his book, The Seduction Scriptures, talked about that. When a woman, and I'll put a link for that in the description box. A woman, she might see you from a distance and she's already in her mind thinking what she wants you to do, what she want to do with you. And indeed, sometimes a woman might see you from a distance, be checking you out, and this, like he said in the Seduction Scriptures, she might get out your way so you don't say anything to her, but she's still looking at you. Always keep that in mind. You from the second you leave your house, you on stage. Because women, just like you want a woman, women want men, and they looking at everything about you. And I'm gonna tell you what, as I've said several times, they looking at you from head to toe. They looking at your haircut, they looking at your face, they looking at your neck, your clothes, they looking down at your shoes, they looking to see if you got a watch. They giving you some game. They letting you know. That's one of the things a man has to understand. You on stage. The second every time you step out your house, you on stage. Now, you might not notice the women, you might not see them, but I'm gonna tell you the truth. I've had a few women tell me, oh yeah, we saw you around. We were seeing you. We were checking you out. We were noticing you. Shoot, I remember a dude in college. He thought all these young ladies weren't paying attention, and they were like, oh no, we see him all the time. Oh man, but they are paying attention. A woman may always be checking you out. Always keep that in mind. So anyway, that's all I have for right now, and I'll get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.